Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome in Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellison. Appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend, as we're going to have plenty of things to talk about from everything that did happen over the weekend. Not only will we get into a little bit of your Alumni Hall question of the day, but we'll also have who's the heavy hitter from the weekend, presented by HD Roofing and Construction, getting all the various topics and everything that was going on in the national sports landscape, according to BetSaracen and some of the specials they had there. And we'll get to your chats with a little bit of a vibe check, presented by Basis Health. So we're having to have all that happening here today on the show and plenty of things to get to. But fellas, how we feeling on this Monday? How was the weekend for everybody?
Weekend was good. I enjoyed the weekend, honestly. Got to fire up the grill, which is always an exciting time. Kind of symbolizes that winter is over. So love doing that. It was good. Just another one of those days, man, in portal season here. I already see some people triggered over the show title today. Not the one that I would have chosen, but it's a question. We'll give our opinion. So if you're triggered by it, you want to go away, go away. Be my guest.
It is funny how the ones that are questions always, will the Hogs lose this weekend? Will the Hogs win this weekend or whatever? People always freak out over it. And it's like, we're allowed to say no or yes to the question. It is what it is. But I've never understood why people get so bent out of shape over stuff like that. But guys, the meme of it's Childish Gambino, Donald Glover, and he's walking back and he's got the pizzas and he looks and then the room's just like on fire. It's like he's returning with pizza, hoping he's coming back to the party, and then the room's on fire. That has been me literally every single time I check my phone this weekend. Because, I obviously, Curtis is the basketball guy, the portal guy. I like to kind of come in and out of the portal chat as I please. Every time I come back, it's just a complete meltdown in there, and it's Curtis talking people off the ledge, Curtis giving actual info, and people taking it and running with it 3,000 different ways. And so, I do not envy him this time of year, and it's a crazy time we live in, and we're still kind of waiting on the first big moving and shaking to start happening. We're still in wait and see mode, but we're having a good time though.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really what it's about. And I'll take I'm the one that came up with the show title, because that's what I do on here. And it's a matter of just finding discussion points for people to have. And then the main reason I posed the question simply of can Hog fans really trust in Cal? It's not the negative part of it. And if anything, it's more of a satire, or maybe the approach to pointing out some of the absurdity that some people can have when it comes to the transfer portal is, hey, is it just trusting in Cal enough? I got asked that. Is like, you just trust in Cal? Is that enough? Is that enough to make this whole thing work? And is that enough to just give the credit where credit is due and not even worry about these things? And, where everything stands right now and, not having any news, I think a lot of people are starting to, I guess what the term is using, crash out over the whole thing over this. And honestly, it's just, again, it's more of a pointing the absurdity of if you trust in Cal, which I do, and I think all Hog fans should. That's the point. But anybody that's just like, I'm wavering on my trust in Cal because you've had a couple of weeks of no real huge news going on the side of things of sports for Hogs and basketball. I just don't think that's the reason what should make you no longer trust Cal. Like, that's the thing that should not make you suddenly be like, well, you know what? I was feeling good a week ago about Cal and the future of the program, but after a week of no news, I'm jumping ship. I no longer have the trust for him. And that's the point of the title, is just trying to get fans to understand and to relax. And I get it's intense, and you want to be the best team. You want to have the best players, but you also don't have to approach it to where, because it's been time-wise, been a long time since you've seen any sort of news, that suddenly you start wavering on the entire organization and the program and the coach in general is the main thing.
For sure. I mean, I hope that everyone trusts Cal, because that's kind of what you have to hang on right now. Everything on the surface throughout the course of portal season has felt like a disaster. So, I mean, it's just been one good player after another going elsewhere. And you think that you're in on somebody, and then maybe you're not, or you think you're leading for somebody, and then maybe you're not. I get it, man. It's been one thing after another. They've moved silently. They've moved slowly. And that's just part of the way that they operate, and that can be frustrating to a lot of people, especially when you were used to the exact opposite with the previous coaching regime. Like it's a complete 180 from everything we've kind of grown accustomed to. And so now you're waiting and waiting and waiting. And guys like us, what do we continue to say, right? It is exactly that. Like, hey, trust Cal. He's going to get his guys. He's going to have a roster. They're going to be really, really talented. They always are. He's good for it. He does this. We know what their NIL situation, and all those things are absolutely true. But I'm also not going to, ostracize anybody at this point, especially after, all the madness that has been this morning. Anyone who's frustrated, you have every right to be. I get it. But that can be a thing that's true and rational and reasonable, without you automatically not trusting in John Calipari or thinking the program is going to be a disaster or the team is going to be mid or anything like that. No, it's just a little irritating right now, and eventually they'll figure it out. I think that's kind of where I land on it.
Yeah, I don't know what great philosopher I should quote with this, but I've heard it said that, like, if someone tells a lie about you, and you don't come out and correct that lie, it kind of becomes the public perception and kind of becomes the truth. If you don't come out and say, hey, this is it. And so when you have a staff that is dead silent for a reason, like by design, they clearly don't want a ton of info being thrown out there. They don't want you guys to know every step of their move. But when you have a staff that's basically silent and kind of leaves it open to interpretation, leaves it up to our imaginations, you have people that are going to kind of draw their own conclusions. And when you leave Hog fans to draw their own conclusions, they're
Yep. Yeah. Well, we will just go with what Andrew said too.
He was heading in the right direction. By God.
Yep. He was on point for that. So, but yeah, we'll I'm sure he'll come back in. But either way, we'll get into some of your chats and everything, folks. But I know Curtis, you talked about like this morning and the Pierre situation and everybody bringing this whole thing up. I know that you've been discussing it a little bit in the Discord and everything, but it seems like there's some people that may have some confusion of everything. So I'm just going to give you the floor. Like, what is going on with the Jaron Pierre situation?
Fair enough. Yeah, it's and pardon me for hogging the mic for a minute here, but there's a lot going on, man. And I get it. A lot of people are frustrated by it, and there's been just some complete contrast and in intel, and that's not from like reporter to reporter. It's like just in general, like everyone has been getting that. The whole thing has been a mess, and we've talked about it a lot on the Pod at the Palace in terms of it's just this one's been a little bit different. So if you've been following the Jaron Pierre recruitment, that's the high scoring guard out of Jacksonville State. He's like top 5 in the country in scoring. He's really good, right? But if you've been following it the last several days, like it comes as no surprise that this has just become more of a convoluted mess with every day that passes here. And I know there's a lot of confusion this morning elsewhere. And hear me out here, because I'm not outing anybody. But how someone could just outright confirm that a kid visited campus over the weekend and then turn around just a couple hours later and say, no, that actually didn't happen, and Arkansas is not even in on him. Because it sounds outlandish, right? But it really isn't. If you've been in the trenches with this particular recruitment for the last several days, it's been a mess. In fairness, that's probably exactly what was relayed by sourcing from one place to another. And it's not entirely dissimilar from what I've gathered, especially on the visit front. Okay. Did Jaron Pierre in fact visit Arkansas this weekend? Well, I didn't see him with my own eyes, but here's what I will say. As of this morning, I was told by someone in the basketball facility that was an emphatic no. And the suggestion of it that, me even coming across as asking about the visit again, came across as baffling. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Where did that come from? Okay, so it seems pretty cut and dry to me, right? Well, it's not, though. Okay, it's not. Because what was all the fuss over this weekend? Folks, the reason for the conflicting reports is that the person, not me, who originally got confirmation several days ago, got it from a place that I know to be equally legit, believable. Not a social media rumor, okay, but from a real place where you could get said information. So somebody's being lied to here, okay? I mean, that's just the way that it is. Now, I can only go off what I've heard and the source that I trust and have trusted for a long, long time. So I'm going to operate under the assumption that no, he wasn't on campus this weekend. But I get it, whereas why it would have been reported otherwise. Okay, so let me be clear about that. If you remember on the Pod at the Palace, I've even said that I have no reason not to trust that place. but didn't have confirmation from the kid or the coaches or my own eyes. So, look, I know some places ran with it. Hell, it was believable, but what I can officially report is what I'm told, which is that he didn't visit campus this weekend. Now I have more to say because this is crazy. Because I do think it's, it's pretty easy, I think, to see how we got here. And I was pretty upfront about it this morning that this has just been a weird recruitment. Okay. It just has, man. The players camp, as well as some of the schools involved, like they've been intentionally misleading with some of the information about his recruitment. Has he visited somewhere? Has he not? Is he going there? Is he not? Is so-and-so involved? Are they not? And you're just getting different answers. And that's by design. It's like I said, it's kind of part of the game, and guys can, handle their recruitment however they want to handle it. So it's tough. Like when Ole Miss reporters are point blank told by the coaching staff over there that Jaron Pierre is not visiting this weekend, and then there are pictures of him with Chris Beard, that puts people in a tough spot. It really does. So you're kind of between a rock and a hard place, and you can either not say anything at all, or you can just relay what you're being told by places that you trust. And that's how things can come out that appear to be completely conflicting. So what I will say, though, there's a reason why Arkansas folks, Ole Miss folks, Auburn folks, SMU folks, national folks have had the Razorbacks as a player in the game here. Several that I talked to yesterday believed Arkansas might have even had a slight edge in the recruitment here. But nobody was saying it with much conviction. Nobody was willing to say it with their chest. And the reason why is because this has always been a weird recruitment. So is Jaron Pierre Ole Miss bound? Probably. But how could you believe anything concrete at this point when it comes to this recruitment? You know what I'm saying? As for Arkansas, I'm not going to go as far as to say that they were never recruiting him. I don't believe that to be the case. In fact, I was initially told, and I've said this on the pod, that Pierre was believed to be the top target if DJ Wagner opted to hit the transfer portal. Well, then we were starting to hear, now it sounds like DJ is coming back. I was told that Arkansas is still pursuing a veteran guard out of the portal. Maybe I just connected the dot to the wrong player, or maybe there's something there. I don't know, but I certainly don't believe or don't expect Jaron Pierre to be a Razorback at this point. If I've got folks in the basketball office acting stunned that I've even, asked them about a visit, but if he does, hey, you have a great player, and I have some trust issues with some folks, I think is kind of where we're at.
Yeah. So one, Curtis, I appreciate you bringing like legitimate, good, sound, backed info, trying to actually do your due diligence, trying to find out accurate information, talking to different people. It's such a valuable thing. And I hope fans understand that when Curtis is talking, he's not just throwing shots in the dark. He's, that's his best estimate based on what he's been hearing. And I'm not saying that I'm going to not give you that, but what I'm about to say is not sourced information of like, this is me reading between lines here. You mentioned DJ Wagner right there, Curtis, which I think is kind of the big X factor here. Because if DJ Wagner is coming back, it makes Arkansas's pursuit of any other guard. I know Pierre's a little bit different thing. It changes that a little bit. And so it's something to keep in mind. I wonder what his role is in this particular thing. You mentioned that reaction you got from the staff. If Arkansas did determine they're bringing DJ Wagner back and maybe even gave him that assurance of, hey, yeah, we're not going to go out there and get one of the top scorers in the country, that makes me think why the staff would kind of give that weird reaction of like, oh, no, we're not interested in anybody. No, we hate that kid. We hate that other guard. We've never spoken to another guard. It might not be that simple. I also
that's
think
a good point, though.
We saw this with the Flory situation. You know who wanted to be connected to Arkansas? Flory. And why would he want to be connected to Arkansas? Money. You know what I mean? I think it's a good thing. And so you mentioned how Pierre's camp is almost intentionally, it seems like, putting out all these different mixed signals. I think that's maybe by design a little bit. And I don't think it's as simple as, hey, they just wanted to up their bag. And so they connected themselves to Arkansas and spread all these rumors and got certain guys on staff involved in it, all that. But there's definitely a lot of smoke screens this time of year. And so me being someone who's kind of just reading between the lines, I think, it's definitely a weird recruitment, like you said. And who the hell knows? We'll all probably find out in real time together, but it does certainly check some boxes. Arkansas would be like a very ideal smokescreen if you were Jaron Pierre and his team.
Yeah, and I've never pretended to have like reports or inside sources in there, anything like that. But I do always find it really fascinating of how these games, or at least how it can all be played out and the different reasons. And especially when you have different coaches with different media members, whether it's local or national or anything like that, it's a fascinating game that somebody can play. And in some cases, I start to wonder if I'm getting into like Alex Jones conspiracy theory stuff of like some of the things that I start to go into, be like, well, maybe it's all, is it as complex and deep as it looks, or as I start to think about it, or is it simply just something that I'm overthinking and it's really not that big of a deal? Sometimes when I think about, people hearing different things from different all of that, I don't know how many people watch Game of Thrones, but it was something to where, you start giving out different information to different people. And then when it leaks out, it's like, well, we know where that's coming from. We know where it went. I don't know if that's going on, but that's just stuff that, I wouldn't put it past anybody in the seriousness of how they approach it and how little they want to get out or how much they want to get out. But it's there's no doubt, considering, everything you said, Curtis, which obviously you have a lot of sources, and, you wouldn't be saying stuff like that unless you felt trustworthy and good about it. But it just makes me wonder, of all the stuff that's going on there and the insanity that happens, is it something like as sinister as something like that? Or is it something to where, there's just what could it possibly be? What reason could it possibly be that? And now fans just kind of, sit back just like everybody else, of like, okay, so what's going on? It's a crazy thing that, different coaches handle things different way, but man, if this is going to be the way that's always with Cal every single year, geez, it's either going to be really nauseating every year, or it's going to be really intense and intriguing every year. I don't really know which.
Yeah, no, it's been really challenging to really get a handle on here. And in some cases, it's a lot more cut and dry, right? Like with Malik Ewan right now, for example, it's cut and dry. He's flat out told everybody, yeah, I'm visiting. I'm coming to Arkansas Monday, which is today. Great. We need more of that, man. But some of these get a little bit more complicated. And it's not just at Arkansas, although it's amplified there because we follow them. And we know that Cal operates a little bit differently out there, but it's everywhere. I mean, you're seeing some of the GOATs, Trilly, for example, like he's been wrong a number of times this portal season. And usually that's not the case. And so it gets complicated, man. And I know that fans want to know exactly what's going on, and so do we. But I hope everybody understands that, folks, and I'm not just speaking for myself, I'm speaking for all of us that cover this. Nobody's out there just like making stuff up or intentionally lying. And listen, and sometimes it can sound like some of us might be talking out of both sides of our mouth from, 1 minute to the next or one day to the next. That happens on the pod all the time. And that's why I wait until after midnight every night to record it. Cause it's like, I'm going to wait till I know everybody's asleep and just take everything I've gathered up to this point, and it'll go out first thing in the morning, because hopefully that's as fresh as it's going to be. But the truth is, sometimes you just get conflicting stuff, man. And that's kind of where we're at with this Pierre situation. And it's definitely been a weird one that's just had a little bit of a stench of, I don't know, from the beginning. It doesn't mean it's the case with all of them, but this one has definitely felt that way. And today's been a tidal wave in that direction for sure.
It's funny that you mentioned Malik Ewan, who, we believe, may or may not be visiting today. I mean, who the hell knows what an actual visit is? Is that a real thing? But who would have thought that by the time that visit actually came around, Malik Ewan, who's been such a big name in this portal, that we would spend pretty much zero time. And I mean, not just us, the entire fan base. Nope. I feel like by the time that Malik Ewan's actually going to get here and maybe even actually commit to Arkansas, by that point, it's like we're already moved on, dude. We're already over it. But yeah, that would be funny if his commitment was just kind of mixed in there in the pile of all this mess, all this drama. You just get, oh yeah, by the way, you get one of the best big men in the portal. How about that?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, no matter what happens, it's going to be fine. I still feel that way. And that's, again, the whole point of all of this is like, there's chaos in some regards. And then certain players, maybe a little bit more direct. Like we've talked about the whole DJ Wagner thing of like, he's not the one that's just going to go on social media and make this big post of whatever he's going to do. Some players handle it that way. And there's some players that love all the ridiculous attention and the back and forth. Because let's be honest, if you are 18, 19, 20, whatever, however old you are, and you're somebody that's considered a commodity, there is something about that feeling of a bunch of different people wanting you. There's a feeling of satisfaction in that, where it's like, oh, okay, well, Arkansas wants me, but also Ole Miss wants me, and also Kentucky wants me. And you want to keep that feeling going, because eventually you're going to make a decision. You're going to go to some school. But there are something to be said about having that feeling. And some players, but it drives everybody else up a wall, because it's just like, dude, just make a decision. I mean, what else can be done? But that you got to remember it. You're dealing with young athletes that are highly regarded and highly sought after, and you're going to have some flair and dramatics and craziness and chaos with it all. It's not every player, but there will be some of those. So, like I said, I find it entertaining at times, and other times I'm just like, golly, just get it over with. Let's figure this out and let's see what's going on. But I mean, it's getting to that point too, and I know that not everybody reads the Discord, but I always just find it humorous sometimes when I jump in there and I'm like, golly, I need to get out of this. Like it's so wild all the time, man. But it's part of it. And again, Arkansas is going to have a roster. It's not like we're sitting here trying to figure out if, what if Arkansas only has 4 players next year? No, they're going to have a roster. It's just a matter of timing on everything too. So, yeah, we'll keep you updated on everything though, folks. So that's why you got to tune in with us here at Inside Arkansas and Pod at the Palace, because anything and everything that happens is going to be happening right here. It's going to be breaking right here, and we're going to have our reactions to it as well. So, speaking of reactions, go ahead and do a little vibe check, because I'm sure it's a positive one here in the chat, presented by our friends over at Basis Health, because they're changing the way that healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits to the comfort of your own home. You don't want to deal with anything, right? You don't want to deal with the waiting time. I mean, you've been waiting long enough for the portal as it is. Don't worry about waiting in a doctor's office. Have them come to your home where they can help you out with the urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. They are there when you need them and where you need them the most. Learn more at basishealth.org. That's basishealth.org. All right. So getting into the chat here. And of course, been talking a little bit about the transfer portal. We got K-Humps over here saying, Curtis, do you think Cal is working in the shadows and waiting to as close to the portal deadline as possible to not rub the current players wrong and risk them jumping in?
It's an interesting thought. I hadn't really thought about that. Probably not. There might be something to that. I never really thought about it from that standpoint, actually. Because what we have here I guess we have 8 days left for the portal or whatever. Honestly, what I think it is more than anything is they know who they have coming back. The staff knows, the players know, and they're just going on about their business. I really get the sense at this point that they don't care about making these announcement decisions publicly like Brandon Garrison did. Because, like there's some rumors that he was going to go to the portal or whatever, but it was like this huge ordeal about a guy who averaged 4 points per game or something to, I'm back, baby. Like, here's the whole video. And that's cool. And it got people fired up. And if Billy Richmond did that for Arkansas, I'm sure people would be really, really excited about it. But it would seem silly, like Trevin, for example, he averaged like 6 points per game or whatever. Like if he did this whole big production, like I'm back, I could understand why, like if I was him, and I think Trevin could have a really good season next year, but I'd probably look at it and be like, actually, I'm just, like I'm coming back. Like I don't have to make a big deal out of it. I'm just coming back, kind of thing.
Well, not to mention Trevin did it last year.
Right. And he hit the portal. Yeah. And then he went through the draft process and all that. It's a little bit different, but yeah, he's already done that where he was, out and then back and everything. So I think it's more of that, but it would make a little bit of sense, I guess. Like if you really wanted to keep DJ, for example, or you didn't want to piss off Carter Knox or whatever, and you were recruiting, Jaron Pierre is not a great example today, but a player like him, at that position or whatever, that you really kind of wait until you're past that deadline to make your move to where those guys are kind of stuck. It's shady, but that's an interesting thought for sure.
And also too, I don't know, do you guys remember the Daniel Gafford announcement of him coming back? Do you guys remember that fiasco by chance?
What did he do?
So, it was still up in the air his freshman year, but I remember he just went on Twitter and just said, I'm coming back. And everyone was like, oh, wow. And then he deleted it and was like, what, why, what happened? And then what it was is that the U of A was basically like, hey man, if you're gonna make an announcement like that, let us get some credit, let us get some stuff on that. So they ended up like filming a video of him just saying, hey, I'm coming back. He's like sitting in the scout room, film room, whatever it is, and saying that. So yeah, I just think always back to that. I was like, that would be the worst type of thing is that it announces, somebody tweets it out and then they delete it and you're like, great. So what could that possibly mean? It was a mini freak out and a little crash out back in 2017 or whatever year that was.
We're still holding out for the full roster announcement. Well,
yeah.
DJ's back, Carter's back, but like they just do everybody at the same time.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep. Exactly. Let's see. Also, to the David says, Curtis, do these guys make visits on their own dime? If not, are they using these visits like a recruit might?
Nah, you can, if you take an unofficial visit, then you pay your own. But for these transfers, that's officials. They're university funded and everything. But they can do it like a recruit. If you're talking about just taking all your visits and getting the free trips or whatever, and then, making your decision, they can absolutely do that. Portal's a little bit different in the sense that it just moves quickly. Like if let's say Malik Ewins, that he really wants to go to Arkansas, that's his best offer, whatever, and he's here today. It comes with a risk if he winds up taking the trip to Mississippi State on Thursday, or if he schedules something at Auburn or somewhere over the weekend, because not only could, you help your situation or maybe drive up your price if that's what you're looking to do, you could also tick that school off, and they could say, hey, you know what? We're moving in a different direction. We're pivoting another way. We're bringing in this guy, and you're off the table now. So there's some give or take with it, but the portal moves just infinitely faster than it does with these high school kids. Just ask Nate Ament. And so you don't see as much of that. Maybe a guy will take 2 or 3 visits and then decide something, but usually these things happen pretty quick.
And also to BKJ, what a Bearcat, everything. Actually, not even letting me pull it up. So, but he says it's okay to admit that this offseason is starting to look like a disaster, is what he said. There we go.
He said it about 12 times too. I started this one because Curtis literally in like the first 5 minutes of the show was like, honestly, if we're just going off of how things look right now, it kind of feels like a disaster. He used that terminology and obviously clarified that, like, we'll see the big picture. I don't understand, like, what we come on the show every day and we're like, hey, it's going to be fine, but it's, doesn't look great right now. Like, I feel like that we've had no problem admitting that.
That's my official stance is, it's very frustrating today on April 14th, but I haven't changed my thought process at all in John Calipari putting together an awesome roster for Arkansas basketball next season. Just because I don't see the vision, or it just seems like a mess right now, doesn't mean that they don't have a plan or that they're not going to get it figured out. In fact, we've been told by several people who've experienced this in the past that portal season's often like that for John Calipari. So you feel like there's no rhyme or reason. You don't know what the heck is going on. You start getting pretty concerned, and then boom, he figures it out. He's got the pieces that he needs. So until proven otherwise, I'm going to assume that's going to happen.
Yeah, people try to almost teach this or approach this as some sort of like politics and how extremists look at it, where it's just it can be a little bit of like, okay, well, here's a little bit of a concern, or here's a little bit of something that's I don't really like. It's not always just like we are about to die. Like we're about to get invaded. The country's going like just, what? It doesn't always have to be so extreme. It can be cause for concern, and that concern may end up not being warranted in the end, or it could be a cause of concern and then it ends up being warranted. But it just doesn't have to be so extreme, one side or the other, just because what's this current status of Arkansas's transfer portal and roster doesn't mean, well, everything's bad and Cal is just in over his head. It's unreal.
People say no news is good news. No news, very much not good news.
Yeah.
We can confirm after this portal cycle. No news is not good news.
Yeah. Yeah. No, news itself is good news, whether it's good or bad news. It's just, that's the news that's good news, because at least you can know. You can at least have an idea of what's going on.
I'll say the only thing that I think could get me to the point of wavering a little bit and being like, I'm really starting to get concerned here, is if Ewan leaves campus uncommitted. And like the Pierre thing was just a complete mess today. And then the top dog left in the portal in terms of big men starts trending elsewhere. That would be the time where I won't go all in on what the heck is going on, but I'll be like, oh boy.
Do you think Cal has an approach or a mentality of like, if Ewan, or using it as an example, did not commit to Arkansas, left campus or whatever, do you think Cal takes it personally, where he's like, I hate that kid and I hope he fails? Like, do you think he's a guy that holds grudges like that in the end?
I think he's a guy that doesn't like to play a bunch of games. You know what I mean? So maybe there'd be something to that, but goodness gracious.
Yeah. It's like almost nowadays you can't even do that, especially with the young kids, because then it's like, well, he could end up transferring next year and I could have a chance at him next season if he ends up happening that way too. So Trey also asked, how many teams in the SEC have brought back 4 guys that contributed to their team and had key roles in huge wins?
Auburn just did. Alabama just did. Florida did. Tennessee did. I'm just trying to think this year. A good handful of teams that competed at the top,
Yeah.
So that matters. You just got to do it. You know what I mean? Like you got to have them all there. So, and they'll be all right. The retention aspect gets overlooked because it's not sexy, right? Like it's not splashy. It's not you're not like Andrew, like you said in the past, it's not a winning the offseason type of situation, but any team that's, gone the Final Four route or won a national championship here recently, one of the key ingredients is having a healthy amount of returning contributors back, especially off a team that just went to the Sweet 16 and played 3 ultra competitive NCAA tournament games, so that's a huge part of the equation here that can't be understated. In fact, that's probably what I'll talk about on tomorrow's Pod at the Palace, since, all the plans for talking about Jaron Pierre or whatever else are ruined now. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit. Just remind people of what you still have in the cupboard.
Yeah. I guess one of y'all started this. I assume as Andrew Baquita says, you and I'll take my meds if you commit.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's good stuff.
Yeah. All it takes. It's amazing the amount of things that people will do for just a commitment or anything.
The links that Razorback fans will go to, I tell you.
Which is, I know a lot of it's said in like fun and jest and all that, but at the same time, if some people are really that like crazy concerned with them, like, do you guys know Razorback sports? Like, if you're a Razorback fan, are you really going to go to that length of some sort of crazy thing of like, I'll do this or I won't do this or whatever it is? Like, Razorback sports are so unpredictable and usually don't go according to plan in any regard. So, just don't do any of those things if you're actually doing it. Hey, our guy Daniel Shee says, look at John getting all philosophical. Was he talking about the portal or American politics? Hard to say. All the same at this point.
Yeah, same. Danny.
Yep. I mean, you got Republicans and Democrats. You got the woke left and the extreme right. It's the transfer portal. Like, it's the sports version of the transfer portal is all it is. So
Curtis is a super woke portal guy.
That's what they say. I can't escape the allegations, man.
Yeah. He's just stay woke, go broke, as they say. Shout out to our guy Quinn. Saw a super chat. Don't worry, Quinn. We saw it. But he just said, we swept LSU 9-6 in conference play at the halfway point. I'll take it. War Eagle. That was nice.
Good stuff. Yeah.
That's a very impressive series sweep, which, by the way, like I feel good about. I mean, from Arkansas' standpoint, I think LSU, I'm looking at teams that are going to be in there in the national title, could beat Arkansas in the end. LSU's one of them. Arkansas would love to, or LSU fans would love to trade weekends with Arkansas if they could.
Yeah. Which I know we'll talk about that side of things too, with dealing with the Razorback baseball team and everything, because some people had some reactions, needless to say. But either way, we'll dive into that. Patrick just says, would Curtis like me to send him or the little one a Wilkerson, Kentucky jersey? You all do a great job covering sports. I watch for my enjoyment, not hate watching how this all started. LOL.
We will burn it on stream. I'm just telling you right now.
That's a very nice gesture, and I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate the kind words, but please don't do that.
I think we're gonna we would do something worse than burning it.
It's gonna be tough enough if I have to see it on television, 30 times next season. So, the one that got away, in my heart, at least.
Yeah. Also, Adele outside says, "Is there a new K-State big in the portal?"
There's two. Take your pick.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Bayfall. So he's like, "Hey, bring him home."
The kid's name though, Curtis, because the other one's like an actual big man, right?
I guess you could say that.
Or is he not that good either?
Ugana Onyenso, he played for Cal for 2 years.
There you go.
He didn't play for Kansas State, so no, he's not that good. But he's a shot blocker, and I'm so sick of this crap about, it's like, oh, well, if Arkansas gets Malik Ewan and Nick Pringle, however, could they possibly get another forward for the roster? And then you see, Missouri's got like 19 big men, on their roster there. They've got like a 12 deep in the front court. And, like Eric Musselman's going out there and getting 40 guys for it's like all of a sudden we feel like Arkansas can't have more than 9 players on the basketball team. Go get some freaking depth, man. Go get this kid. He played for Cal for 2 years. He averages like 10 minutes a game and he blocks 3 shots in the 10 minutes he's in there. Go get him. Because I'd rather see that than see, Nick Pringle get the flu and we got Billy Richmond playing center and point guard in the same lineup. Get a little depth. please.
I'd
And
love
here
to
I'm
see
talking
that.
about depth, and they can't even get a player right now. Let's do something.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Again, I could be wrong. When they sent out the game notes for Arkansas basketball this past year, did any of them have a depth chart? Because I don't think that's how basketball works. It's just like, well, you got to see who's the second stringer and behind it. It's like you said, Kurt, depth. Get those things. Get depth.
But not like, and seriously though, with Missouri, I don't know if you guys saw that. Somebody put out a tweet about it, but just like all the forwards that they have, it's like I don't even know what they're going to do with them all. But they legit have like 7 or 8 dudes at the 4 or 5, and most of them are 5s. It's really weird.
I mean, we see this in sports a lot. It's an imitation game, you know. When the Warriors started winning titles, everyone was like, let's just get 9 guards to shoot threes. You know, like when you see a team with all these big men, you're like, hell, we need 7-footers. It's kind of always going to be that way. And in college basketball, there's no one foolproof formula. You know, it's just going to be kind of however you can do it. And so a lot of teams, I think, are trying to do what Florida just did.
Yeah, because what was I tripping that Missouri was one of those teams, and maybe I'm thinking of somebody else that was going like smaller. Like last year, like they changed their roster and they went like played much smaller. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
Yeah, they were a little small. They shot a ton of threes last year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was reading some. We're talking about Missouri still.
Yeah,
for sure. But they got better when they started playing Mark Mitchell at the 5.
Yeah,
and just going small ball with 4 guards and him, and they started really cooking. Because they went and got big Josh Gray, and it was like, oh, they finally have a big man at Missouri, and then they realized maybe you were just better off all along playing small. Although Arkansas, go get Josh Gray. I don't care. Go get him. Go get him to be a 3rd big man, please.
Yeah, get everybody. I love that though from Missouri. Because it's like almost that extreme stuff that some people will do. If they had one thing one way and the season didn't go, it's always like, now we just got to go all bigs. Like, forget that. We can't have any smalls because our smalls made us lose in the first round of the tournament. We got to go all bigs now. Seems like an extreme take there too. So, all right, we'll keep it moving here on the show, folks. We'll get to more of your chats and more of your discussions. And if you have any of those extremely interesting and extremely good portal questions, we'll be sure to answer those to the best of our ability as well. But we also want to get into one of our favorite things, which of course is the heavy hitter here on Inside Arkansas Live, and it's presented by HD Roofing and Construction. Storms can hit unexpectedly, just like portal news, because it'll be unexpected. But just like with the storms that'll come through here in Arkansas, you need to make sure you have that peace of mind when it comes to the roof over your head, and they give you a free inspection. And when you be able to choose HD Roofing, you can rely on that professionalism as well as that top quality materials, expert installation for all of your roofing needs. And you can give them a call today at 501-428-0429 right here in the state of Arkansas. You can also check out their website at hdarkansas.com. And when you can see all the different amenities they have, they're going to get you taken care of, and they're going to make sure that they get everything you need to make sure that roof over your head is safe, sound, and secure. So check them out today. Again, HD Arkansas and 501-428-0429. That is hdarkansas.com. So, all right. So a little bit of the heavy hitter side of things. I'll go ahead and start off with my heavy hitter. And I know we talked basketball and everything. We'll get back to it. Don't worry. But I did have a chance to see a little bit of the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame this past weekend. There's some really good inductees and whatnot. But I want to give a shout out to Felix Jones, because Felix Jones was inducted, former Razorback great. And he's from Tulsa. And he talked about how Arkansas accepted him and how he was always be a Razorback, and he didn't look at Oklahoma or anything like that. He's like, he looked at Arkansas being his home, which was really cool. But it also just really came back to me of like, man, this guy was awesome, and maybe didn't get a lot of the credit that he deserved. Maybe he didn't get the love he deserved because of McFadden and everything. And he never had an ego about him. He never went to the transfer portal. He never had anything that was anything negative to say about him. He just kept playing. And, a lot of people, especially in this day and age, there was a running back ahead of him that was Darren McFadden. They'd hit the brakes and try to find somewhere else. Felix never did. So I just wanted to give a shout out to him. Somebody gets forgotten at sometimes, but got to give some love to Felix the Cat Jones, former Razorback great, and especially him getting inducted into the Arkansas Sports Hall of Fame. He's my heavy hitter.
I like that. That's big time. That's good stuff. Andrew, you go next, because I don't know where your mind is at. I got a couple options. So I
actually need you to go next, because I need to make sure you're not doing someone.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to decide who I want to put.
Dude, I got heavy hitters for days, dude. I got about 12 if I need. I can go a bunch of different routes, but I want to see where you go.
Okay. Well, we also have best and worst of the weekend, so I'm kind of all over the place here. I'm gonna go with somebody that I'm 100% positive that we're gonna talk about probably at more length at some point here. I got to go with Rory, man. I mean, listen, he was not escaping the allegations for a long period of time on Sunday. 4-stroke lead, pissed it away, just trouble in paradise. And then he was doing the thing where he would just make incredible shots. I mean, like all-time shots, and then miss like a 4-foot putt. I mean, it was crazy. I thought he was toast when they went to that playoff, but he nailed it. He won, and that outburst of emotion was something you could tell was built up in him for a long, long time. That was awesome. I was fully engaged in most of that, especially yesterday, and happy for the man. He got it done.
I'm glad you left this one for me then. My heavy hitter, I hope you don't have this for best of the weekend. Darius Acuff. Darius Acuff at the Nike Hoops Summit was the leading scorer. Yeah, you were okay. Well, Darius Acuff, man, good to see that. You know, we saw him in the McDonald's game, and he looked the part, was a very good floor general, didn't shoot the ball super well. He shot the ball very well this weekend at the Nike Hoop Summit, goes 4 for 8 from 3, finishes with 24 points, 9 of 14 from the floor, also dished out a few assists. Just looked like a dude out there, man. Really fun to watch him cook, and love to see these Razorbacks. I mean, it's always cool to see them on a big stage like this. Nike Hoop Summit, that's a big deal. They were in Portland, which is cool. Loved that. I've also got a few other Isaiah Joe. 32 points and 9 assists. I don't know if I'd ever thought Isaiah Joe would have 32 and 9 assists. Hit 10 threes. Curtis, you know the stat true shooting percentage or whatever, and it's like the weird one that like takes, it's like a weighted shooting thing that does like threes and free throws or whatever. Isaiah Joe's true shooting percentage the other night was 107%.
That's insane.
I don't know how you get that. I don't know the math of it, but I think it's pretty good. So I wanted to shout out Isaiah Joe as well. Again, he's going to be a huge piece for the Oklahoma City Thunder in the playoffs. So love to see that. I want to do one baseball one though, and I'm gonna do winners of the weekend on my show Bombastic today. But I wanted to shout out Dylan Carter, friend of the program, friend of the Razorbacks, in-state kid. Dude's like quietly having just a really good senior season. He's got a 2.35 ERA in 19 innings so far as his senior year. You know, he was banged up the last couple of years. We didn't really get to see the best version of him. And he's been getting the ball in a lot of like low leverage situations. Like they'll throw him out there in like a 12-3 game, and he never complains. Never is pissing and moaning. Oh, I should have a better role. Just goes out there and cooks. He pitched twice this weekend against Georgia. Faced 6 hitters, struck out 5 of them. Did not allow anybody to reach. The first one again was in a low leverage situation, but then they brought him in middle of a big time tie game on Sunday, and he goes and strikes out the side. Really good stuff to see from him. And I feel like he's a guy that we talk about a lot of Razorback pitchers, and they've got no shortage of options. Dylan Carter's been awesome, man, this weekend or this year. And it's been cool to watch his growth and just see him just, you know, an in-state kid out there doing the thing.
Yep. Very good. I also, real quick, another heavy hitter. I just want to give a shout out to one of our avid listeners and watchers that I met down in Hot Springs this past weekend. I was being a really cool person and eating by myself before an event that happened on Friday night. And I was there at a restaurant, and I had these 2 guys that were really hammered. Just going to be honest, really hammered, or at least one of them was. But he was really nice. He was really cool. And he came up, and just the look on his face when he saw that I was sitting there was fun. And he was just like, well, I can't believe you're sitting here in front of me. I cannot believe you're sitting here in front of me. Like, I'm not the Pope, man. Like, but he loves what we do, and he wanted to just talk, and he was the nicest guy ever, and loves all of our content and all of this coverage of portal stuff and everything. And I told him, I was like, hey man, I'll give you a shout out. So shout out to Jason. Really appreciate you, man. And it was good talking with you. So
heavy hitter.
Throw that out there. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. Also, Trey says his heavy hitter is Curtis Wilkerson for finding things to talk about on the pod with no news. So tomorrow, hey, you got to vote.
Tomorrow's going to be a challenge. Because even on this morning's show, I was like, I even opened with like, hey, I get it. I'm tired of talking about these same 3 guys too. You know, but hopefully I said, like, hopefully the next time we talk about it, we have some clarity on them. Well, now we do with Pierre, but I spent the first 10 minutes of this show talking about that. I got to find something different. I don't know what the hell it's going to be. We need something crazy to happen between now and midnight, I guess. But thank you for that. We will find a way to keep you entertained until Arkansas finally does something during portal season. That much I promise you.
And also, Jordan says, is it fool's gold to believe that the upward trajectory of Knox, TB, and Billy Richmond next year, maybe the staff is banking on all three taking big steps and becoming lead guys next year?
I don't think that's fool's gold at all. I mean, I think Knox has star power potential in the SEC next year. And if you get a TB that played the way he did down the stretch and Billy takes that leap, not at all. You need more. You know what I mean? Like if you want to have a Final Four roster, and I think that should be the goal and the expectation here. And I know that they've got the young guys coming in who are super talented. I mean, you need 3 to 4 dudes out of the portal. You need an entire front court, right? You need somebody else who can play that 4 spot alongside TB. Like you got to go out and get some guys for sure. But no, not fool's gold at all to feel that way. In fact, I think that's a big part of the equation here in terms of Arkansas ceiling next year is how much of a leap guys like that make.
Yeah, I also think it just comes down to skill sets. Like those 3 guys, and Knox really doesn't apply here because he kind of has a pretty well-rounded skill set. I definitely think all 3 of those guys are going to be huge, but like you have TB, now you got to go out there and get a guy who's, maybe a little bit more size, a little bit more physicality there. And with Billy, you need to go out and get a shooter. You need to go out and get a shooter ball handler. And so we'll see if they're able to do that. But those 3 guys are certainly going to be in the mix. But like you said, it's not just going to be them.
I'm pumped for him.
Yeah, and also too. I meant to bring this up from Jordan as well. He just said, "I appreciate the work you do, fellas. Thank you." He says, "Andrew, what's the story behind the Houston hat?"
Yeah, people get butthurt about this hat a lot. I don't think Jordan is, but I think there's a lot of people who really don't like it.
Really, bro?
I wear Houston gear a lot. Like I wear Houston. This is a Houston Rockets hat. I don't know if you can see the Rockets logo here. I wear Houston Texans stuff a lot. I wear Astros stuff a decent amount. This one gets people because they think it's like Houston Cougars, which like if it is, there's not really a Houston Arkansas rivalry, I wouldn't say, but no, it is Houston Rockets. I grew up in Central Louisiana, and my brother lived in Houston. He moved to Houston when I was about 7 or 8. And so all of the first sporting events I ever went to from the pro ranks were Houston. And so I just adopted all those Houston sports teams as my pro teams, and I rep them when I can.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I kind of felt that was the case anyways, but I wanted to, have you say it instead of just, wildly assuming stuff. That usually is when problems arise from it all. So, and also I just wanted to bring this up too because it made me laugh. But Bo's just like the Batman mask. Do y'all think Arkansas football will ever take that next step to be able to compete for the Natty?
Is that the next step? I feel like that's like 12 or 13 steps from now.
I would say it's one of the 83 that they have to get to. Yes.
Yeah, I think they could take the next step, but I do not think they're going to compete for the Natty. But who knows?
Well, the next step would be. What 7-5 regular season?
Yeah.
So sure.
Music City Bowl,
Yeah, I think they're a good bit away. I mean, having the playoff helps. I mean, it's not like out of the realm that Arkansas could finish.
They're probably going to expand it again too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they could definitely work their way into a playoff type of team. If all goes right. But I'd say they're a good bit away from that, and I don't see it anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't either at all. In fact, I'll tell you what, we'll get to more of your chats, folks, I promise. And also, we're going to talk some Razorback baseball here in a little bit too. But I did want to bring up the SEC update presented by our friends over at Roback. Go to roback.com, use promo code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your first purchase. Speaking of football, I wanted to bring this up. We mentioned it, I believe, on Friday about this whole Nico situation over at Tennessee. And it's taken some steps, speaking of steps, and he is no longer on the team. He has entered into the transfer portal. Josh Heupel, they had their spring game. He addressed it, and now he's going to be looking elsewhere. A lot of these reports coming out about how he was wanting $4 million. He was already making $2.4 million. People talk about representation and things. It's just a very chaotic deal. And man, it's sad and it sucks. And I hate this, but I know a lot of people were curious. In fact, I saw some of the people in the early chat just wanted our take on the situation there with Nico. So what do y'all make of this particular thing? Because it's Tennessee, but it's an impact on college athletics in general of what this is.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I guess was it Friday that we talked about it initially. And my thought process in the beginning was like, it's crazy how the guy who initially reported this, Pete Nakos, was getting just drugged over it by the family and then others because of that. Boy, there's a lot of apologies and backtracking going around now, ain't there? Here's what I'll say about it. And because I know you guys have some similar thoughts to me, and I don't want to sit here and talk about them all, but good on Josh Heupel. Good on him for making the decision he did. It's not easy. They were put in a tough spot. But I liked what he said. I mean, I kind of rolled my eyes, but he was like, hey, nobody in this room, including me, is bigger than the power T. Okay. It's just, it's just the way that it is. Good on him for doing that, because it could have set a really uncomfortable precedent in the opposite direction for a lot of people. They'll figure it out. I'm sure that they'll wind up getting a quarterback or whatever, and they might be better for this, but I applaud them for handling it the way that they did, an unprecedented and a really uncomfortable situation, personally.
Yeah, you're 100% right, man. I think you mentioned the precedent. That's the big thing that jumps out to me, because look, there are no rules. Like there are no guardrails when it comes to college football, NIL, all this stuff. So as always is the case, we strictly adhere to the rules that we make up on the spot. And as we all know, and we've talked about this a lot, when a player gets X amount of money, well, now the next player who's going to negotiate and wants to do whatever, he now has a point. So now, like JT Toppin gets his $4 million, the next college basketball star who wants to return, that's going to be his starting point, is $4 million. And so, like you said, if Tennessee had caved and publicly had this whole thing given him $4 million, what the hell do you think every starting quarterback in the SEC and the Pac-12 or whatever was going to do for the next few years? And so I hate it. I honestly feel bad for the kid, for Nico, because I have a strong suspicion this was not his master plan. He was not the one who put the wheels in motion here. Based on how vocal his dad has been. And so he's going to have to go. I mean, I saw him connected to Tulane. He might end up there. He might end up at UCLA, which is where his brother decommitted from. That's obviously, and he's from California. I mean, who the hell knows what's going to happen with him? But I think, I hate to say this, I think we needed something like this, only because it kind of shows that it's not, I mean, because we're all for the players, we're pro players. You can't have the players have too much power where they have all the leverage. And so I think it was kind of like we needed to see something like this happen so that coaches and teams can reasonably just like put a roster together and, not have players strong arm, like every single player on the roster strong arm them. Ultimately, I want players to get their money. I want everyone to get paid, everyone to have fun. And he'll get paid from somebody. It's just not going to be from Tennessee. And I was impressed with Heupel to stand on business. And by the way, Josh Heupel has made a number of quarterbacks look great. Yeah. I have close to zero doubt whoever plays quarterback at Tennessee this year is going to be set up for success, because Josh Heupel knows what he's doing with that quarterback position. And if you're a Vol fan, obviously Nico, I mean, we've talked about him a lot on the show, weirdly enough. I'm a believer in his skill set. I really do think he's got a chance to be very good. But if you're a Vol fan, it's got to give you some confidence that the QB guru of a coach was like, go ahead.
Be all right.
Yeah. And I'm going to have part of this for best and worst of the weekend here in a little bit, but I know Razorback fans thinking, oh man, better go to BetSaracen and bet on Arkansas to beat Tennessee because this. Nope, don't do that. Yeah. Because that's not going to have any impact. I will say though, that when it comes to like all of this, like what you said, Andrew, about there's got to be some sort of power. Like the players can't have all the power. And sometimes I think people just are so pro player that there's nothing that they can do wrong. There's nothing that they can do wrong. There's nothing that they can do in their decisions because it's their life and they're just trying to get money, blah, blah, blah. And I think, there's a lot of moving pieces and parts to each and every story like this. But the second, I was pretty against it, but the second I saw that he didn't show up to practice and did not communicate with any coaches, I was done. And because I try to look at it in the lens of, if this happened at Arkansas, which I guess we won't have to worry about, because they ain't paying nobody $2.4 million. But, just saying, if it was to happen at Arkansas, how would I react? And I know some fans would just point to Sam Pittman and blame him because just people are mad at Sam Pittman. But I would react in the way of kind of what Heupel did, of just like go and leave and don't ever come back. Because at the end of the day, it's still a game. You're still a football player. And if I'm a football player, I want to play football. I don't want to not show up to practice. Like there's ways to handle these things. And that was just not a way to handle it. And anybody that's defending that and defending like, oh no, that's the way he's got to do it, or that's the way he's fine with it, I got nothing for you. And so I really hate that it's that. I kept thinking that at some point in time, something like this would happen. I thought it would be somebody a little bit better than Nico. Like I thought, maybe someone that won the Heisman or something like that. I don't know, but it's just really disappointing that it's come to this. And all of that. And so, the fact that he can't transfer to an SEC school because of the spring portal, I don't know if it's going to be North Carolina or whatever it is, but man, it's just sad is really what it comes down to. It's just sad. And I wish people would be adults and handle things adult-like instead of just doing this. And hopefully it's a blueprint for a lot of athletes out there. Don't do it this way. If you want more money, that's between you and the GM or the coach or whoever, but don't do it this way. Because I just don't see how this is going to end up being a positive for Nico. I really don't. So
I will say, sign me up for the Nico Belichick marriage at North Carolina. Chapel Bill and Nico in year one.
Oh,
did y'all see Bill's girlfriend walk across the field to go ask him for something, and then he handed it to her? Like, this dude is Bill Belichick. Look, listen. As someone who is borderline whipped, I always kind of respect the men that are whipped in this world. Seeing Bill Belichick getting bossed around by his 12-year-old girlfriend, man, it really made me feel good about humanity.
That's funny.
Yeah. I did see that video, and I still can't believe he's actually the coach of North Carolina college football. Like, I just still blows my mind. But yeah, that's who he is, and he is there, and he's doing it. So, all right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into our best and worst of the week, and presented by our guy Sco Hogs. We appreciate him and his support, and getting to some of the highlights and in some cases the lowlights of what happened over the sports weekend too. And if you have in the chat or however, if you want to get into what your best and worst of the weekend is, we'll try to bring that up as well. But my best of the weekend's a real quick one, but it's kind of similar to what you alluded to, Curtis, as far as the Masters and Rory. I just love, dramatic stories. Not to say that I was rooting for one particular golfer, but like Masters Sunday drama, there's not much better than that in sports because it gets intense and everyone's watching it, and it's just shot after shot and hole after hole. Nobody, you think one thing is set and then somebody comes roaring back. There's just so much drama going on with it. And it was so much fun to witness and for Rory. And then the just reaction when he win it, go to his knees and I get emotional, and you see his family. It just, everybody gets all, cutting onions and everything. So it was just, I love that stuff. And I'm glad it didn't, fall short. Cause sometimes, you never know, like in sports, everyone talks about, oh, this is so boring and whatnot this year. Well, it doesn't mean next year it will be. Well, this year definitely delivered on the dramatics of the Masters, and it was just fun to witness and to watch. So that was my best of the weekend.
Yeah, that was just awesome, man. I really enjoyed that too. I have two that I want to throw out there. One, Barry Dunning. How about that? Barry Buckets, man, headed to the ACC, going to Pitt, and good for him. I know he's bounced around a little bit, didn't work out at Arkansas, and he had a really, really good season this past season. He was an all-league guy, went back to the portal, bet on himself, going back to a high major. Wish him luck. Really good dude, awesome family. I hope he kills it over there. I will be watching Pitt basketball because I like Barry Dunning and hope that he does well there. So definitely wanted to give him a shout out. And then Andrew, Alexander Volkanovski, man, Volk, he's got to be a best of the weekend. As a fellow 36-year-older to Volk, the allegations were ridiculous that you just incapable of winning a title fight, incapable of functioning as a human being because you're over 35 years old. He escaped all those allegations, pieced up Diego Lopez, dominated him from start to finish outside of getting knocked down one time in the second round. It was a masterclass. He got the belt back. And as a fellow old head, I respect the hell out of that. So shout out to Volk. That was awesome. Really enjoyed that one.
Dude, he deserved it, man. And also, Volk, we knew if he was going to win, it was probably by decision.
Yep.
He wasn't avoiding the smoke, man. He was hanging in the pocket a good bit, trading blows. Like, he wasn't super soft and reserved. I mean, he was in there with the killer, Diego Lopez. We know how good he is. That was like vintage Volk. I didn't realize he's the first fighter to win the belt. I've seen the stat of it's 2 and 30 something.
It's crazy.
For people 35 and over. The 2 were people that had the belt and were simply retaining it. He is the first person over 35 to win the belt in a fight like that. Like that's big time stuff. Coming off of 2 knockout losses and took a year off. You get knocked out twice and then take a year off. You should not be delivering one of your better performances. Shout out to Volk, man. He really is a legend. My best of the weekend is the card in general. I mean, I think somebody. By the way, John, you know Patty the Batty, right?
Yeah,
Patty
totally.
Patty the Batty, Patty Pimblett from Liverpool. he's been a very controversial figure. And I think for a while, people viewed him as more entertainer than fighter. He's starting to buck those allegations a little bit. I mean, he's going to be ranked in the top 6 or 7 now this weekend or after this week. Absolutely dominated Michael Chandler. Made him quit there in the octagon in the 3rd round. I thought it was the best performance of his career. That was big time stuff. Honestly, the entire card, UFC 314, was just a great card. It's a lot of really good stuff. I saw someone in the chat put that their heavy hitter was Dominic Reyes, who Dominic Reyes, for those that don't know, in 2020, he fought John Jones for the belt and literally beat him. Did not get the decision. The judges kind of cooked up. There was a little bit of some sketchy stuff going on. After that, he gets knocked out brutally twice. Looked like his career was over. He's now won 3 straight fights, 3 straight knockouts. He's back. He had a huge first round KO. Bryce Mitchell gets submitted in the 2nd round by John Silva. Bryce Mitchell did not have the best weekend. I mean, he got dominated. The guy he's fighting was really, really good. He was a massive favorite for a reason. I was stunned by how many UFC fans. I mean, you would have thought Bryce was John Cena, the way that the crowd was reacting to him. I think the UFC expected Bryce Mitchell would be getting a ton of boos and stuff like that. The UFC fans, they love Bryce Mitchell. He's still a star, man. And he's still, I mean, if you look at like just the numbers of everything, every video with Bryce Mitchell, every clip with Bryce Mitchell does crazy numbers. It's kind of crazy how big of a celebrity he's become. Obviously, we don't stand with his comments. We don't support everything that he does. And it was good to see a really fun fighter in John Silva beat his ass.
I agree with everything you just said.
Patty the Batty, you would know him if you saw him.
You definitely know Patty the Batty.
He's a loudmouth fighter who, after fights, goes on straight up food binges, and he'll gain like 30 pounds in a week and get real fat. And then he'll get back in shape for camp and everything. He doesn't do it to the extremes that he used to, but it's hilarious to see the ups and downs with that dude.
He's a scouser. He don't get knocked out.
Is that really his haircut?
Yeah, no, it's real life.
If you just looked him up, yes, it is his haircut.
I mean, you want to talk about stars though? That dude moves the needle too, man. He had that arena jumping when he was walking out.
Sheesh, he looks like a villain of the stalker in a movie. But but Patty the Batty for sure. I did see Bryce Mitchell like that have that, like, I think people with the memes. That's all. That honestly, I'll say that's my favorite part of UFC is memes. Those are really good. So I saw that with his eyes, like, I don't like, you looked like he was looking at God there at the end. So but yeah, worst of the weekend though. For me, real quick, just another thing on the Nico situation, because I already talked about it, but just the people who are like, blame the NCAA. You don't blame the kid, blame the NCAA because of what they did and all this. I'm like, okay, but you can't change the past. Like the decision that Nico made today or this past weekend, like it's not like, well, he is just free from any blame. Blame NCAA. Don't do that. That's dumb. I think that's the worst of the weekend for me, or one of them when people are saying that. Also, did you guys see the Oakland A's medical cart situation?
I don't know if I did.
They just can't do anything right. Someone was injured at an A's game, and they have a little medical cart, they bring out. Well, they brought it out and it ran out of gas literally on its way to pick up this injured player. And they are having to push it, and it's just it's like, of all things, guys just there on the ground. Hey, we got the cart coming. And it ran out of gas. And I just have so many questions of like, whose job is that? How does that happen? Like, how do you just run out of gas? Like, how empty it had to be for you to not even drive it 100 feet, to go pick up something where it just ran out of gas. Anyways, that was another worst of the weekends. Just make sure that if you're going to be somebody that has medical stuff and you're going to go out there and take care of people, especially at a professional ballpark, just make sure the cart has gas in it so you can take care of business. But
that's insane.
Yeah. That was my other worst of the weekend.
Did y'all see? And now I can't remember where it was at, but the like the parachute dudes who had the flags or whatever, and then two of them had like really bad crash landings on the baseball field, and I don't know how injured they were, but it didn't look good. So I'm not making light of it, but that was crazy. Those guys just basically fell out of the sky and landed on the ground in front of thousands of people or whatever. That was nuts. Yeah, I think Logan said Arizona. I feel like that's right, that it was in Arizona. Anyway, so that, and we don't have to get too much into this, and it's I'm not saying the individual is the worst of the weekend, but just the situation as a whole. It's so tragic from start to finish with the Kyron Lacey thing.
Yeah.
Just terrible, man. Terrible stuff. We know the situation that he had before with the legal stuff that was pending there for him, and then the way that all ended over the weekend. Just so sad on many fronts, man, and it just makes you feel bad reading about that and hearing about it and everything. So that definitely qualifies there for me for sure.
Yeah, it's just a sad situation that just makes you not feel good. A lot of times, again, we always try to do the thing. We take any information and we try and like draw conclusions off of it. Really, I don't think there's a bigger story here other than that it just sucks. Like 2 people now. I mean, the guy that he obviously got into the wreck with initially, who lost his life as well. That's a tragic situation. And now Kyron Lacey, who is now taking his own life. Like it's just a horrible, it just doesn't make anybody feel good. And it sucks. I mean, this is a guy that literally was, the whole thing initially started in December, was months away from completely changing his life and kind of, on a nice trajectory. It just sucks, man. And so, prayers to the family, prayers to everyone involved on both families. It just sucks, man. It really does. It is worst of the weekend. Yeah. I've got a video to play. It is a little bit lighthearted. I'm going back to the UFC front. So there's this kid, Chase Hooper, who he's like 25 years old. And he looks like a streaming nerd, but he's really good at fighting. And he's now on a nice little win streak. He won his fight, but apologized for running out of gas and he didn't think it was his best performance. Here's what he cited as the reason he didn't have a great performance.
He's, countering my strikes super well on the ground and all that. Spent too much time gooning this camp.
That's crazy.
So we're going to walk that back a little bit. But, still here.
Forearms were sore because he spent too much time gooning this camp.
That's crazy.
I don't know if I've ever heard that before.
Obviously, he's the polar opposite of Sean O'Malley.
Yeah, no, yeah. Sean O'Malley's no longer Jay and the Peen, and Chase Hooper apparently has been Jay and the Peen too much.
That's wild. I saw him talk about it in the press conference. I didn't realize that he got on the mic after his fight and that's insane, bro.
Spent too much time gooning, and him just being the dorkiest looking kid ever makes it so funny.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah. Here, Andrew, what's gooning? Big Red wants to know what's gooning.
So I would, I hope I'm not saying anything too crazy here. Masturbation is where we're referencing here.
Wonderful.
When he said forearms, I'm going to assume that's what he meant.
Yeah. Well, just that's the medical term, so it should be fine.
He said it.
Yeah, he did. He's the one that's coming out with it. So that does it for our best and worst of the weekend, man. It's always crazy, but always fun. We'll get to your chats too, and I also want to bring up a little bit of the weekend recap in some of the cases with the BetSaracen app. Go to BetSaracen.com to get sports betting that way. You can also download the #1 sports betting app in the state of Arkansas. It's BetSaracen. Go to your iPhone or on your Android. Check it out today. All the specials, all the great stuff that they're going to be having all season long. Check them out at BetSaracen. I want to use this to talk a little bit about the Razorback baseball team because I know that they did have a series over the weekend and some have been asking about it. They lost to Georgia in the series, walk-off fashion yesterday. And the sky is falling. This team sucks. They can't get it done. All the classic things. But either way, I know, Andrew, you did bombastic on this, but I think things are going to be fine. I think it's going to be fine. But I think it was, for me at least, you just not to lose the way that you did because you just played like crap. Like it's one thing to lose, but to play like you should have won, and you should have won at least 2 of those games. I guess, yeah, that's the only ones you lost. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like you should have won this series. That sucks.
Yeah. I mean, you outscored them by 8 on the weekend, so I'm considering it a great weekend. Texas outscored Georgia by 8 last week and swept them. Arkansas outscores Georgia by 8 and loses the series. But no, okay, so we talked on the show last week, and by the way, I hope people don't think I'm just doing revisionist history. We spoke last week, and I was like, I really would like Arkansas to lose at least one series. Don't care which one, but between this, LSU, maybe one of the home ones, you don't want to finish the year without losing a series because then you go into the postseason with all that pressure. I agree, John. They those games were very winnable, and I mean, you lose 2 one-run games. In game 2, you had a runner on second, nobody out, down by 1 run. Like you'd really like to at least extend that one. And yesterday goes 12 innings, several different chances. Georgia made 5 errors. You had plenty of chances, and that's disappointing. I think if there's any disappointment, it comes really from the offensive side. Because I thought there were a couple Georgia pitchers that probably shouldn't have had as much success against Arkansas as they did, most notably their Game 3 starter, Leighton Finley. But big picture, I mean, if you think about it, if Arkansas is going to lose a series, you do the other side of it. You have to lose. You have to have a weekend where we leave with a little bit of a weird taste in our mouth. I think this was about as respectable a series loss as you could have. One, you're on the road against what is, I didn't see where Georgia's at in the poll today. I'd assume 4 or 5 or maybe even 3. See, Arkansas is at 2. I'm certainly not going to lose too much sleep over it. I think Arkansas is probably going to get another crack at Georgia again. I don't feel any differently about the big picture standing of this team and their ability to beat top teams, their ability to go on a run. I actually think, you did what you did with out 2 of your top arms and Gabe Gackle, who, by the way, is going to have a different role for the Arkansas Razorbacks next weekend. So we'll see how that shakes out. But no, I felt like they needed to lose at least one series, but now you got to win the rest of them.
Yep.
Now I no longer have that weird, do I want them to win? Do I want to? Now just go out there and beat everybody. It's easy.
Yep. Easy to do. I did think it was weird, though, over the weekend that Arkansas got down 3-0 in like the second inning of each game every time. Like,
dude,
just one of those things.
It's almost like they've been bored lately, so they've just been spotting everybody runs. Or I mean, hell, they were doing it against Missouri.
Yeah.
Spotting them some early runs and being like, all right, well, at least we can challenge ourselves now, kind of deal. It's been wild. I'm with you, John. I just kind of automatically assumed all weekend that they were gonna get down 2-0, 3-0, whatever. And there they go.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe what do you think? You know way more than I do, Andrew. What do you think the new role for Gackle is going to be? They just give him an opener so he doesn't have to get his ass kicked in the first inning, or what do we do?
What makes this interesting? And so we'll still wait on Gage Wood's status because I think that's going to be the X factor. So last year when Brady Tiger missed a ton of time and came back, they worked him back in a starting role, and it started off his first game, he threw 1 inning. His next game, he threw 2. And then you kind of build him up from there. I think there's a very real chance they do that with Gage Wood in some form or fashion. Doesn't necessarily have to be as a starter, but I think there's a good chance if Gage Wood is available for the A&M series, which they're hoping he will be, I think Gage Wood will start that Friday game or maybe even Saturday. Who knows? Maybe they'll move Bottleshees up. I think you would start Gage Wood a game, let him throw 1 inning, and then you'd have either Bybee or Gackle to kind of piggyback off of that. Because obviously if he goes out there and throws 1 inning, you're still going to need a lot of work. Bybee's done a great job in that like long relief role, and he's obviously started games for Arkansas before. So he's who you could use if you do want to move Gackle to a true closing role or like a true late inning setup role. You could use Bybee like that. But I think personally, you piggyback Wood with Gackle. Have Gackle. I mean, hey, inning number 1 has been the inning that's been giving Gabe trouble. Let Gage Wood throw inning 1 and then let Gackle come out there. And then, there's less pressure on him. If he sucks, you just go right to Bybee and you can kind of work it that way. I think piggybacking him with Wood would make sense because you think about it. If you get Gackle throwing the way he's capable of, and then you start building Gage Wood up to where he's able to throw 3, 4, 5 innings, that's a pretty damn good piggybacking of 2 big-time right-handed arms to throw at some of these teams in game 2. And that doesn't even include the Zach Roots, the Carson Wiggins, the Landon Bidleshees, whatever you've got going on in these other games. I think the best case scenario would be having those 2 guys. And then as you build Gage Wood up, you just say, hey, these 2 guys are going to account for 6 to 8 innings of our game 2 each week. I think that's how I would go about it. Maybe again, we've seen Gackle close games. We know he can do that, but I think you got to get him right before you can do anything else. Before you start throwing him, before you move Aiden Jimenez from his role. And by the way, Aiden Jimenez has been awesome at the end of games. Everybody's been saying, hey, why don't you just start him? Well, that's the same thing we said about Gackle last year. It wasn't that simple of, he's great in the late inning. Just move him to the beginning of the game. Me personally, I would not want to move Aiden Jimenez's role. I'd let him stay right where he's at. Let him keep cooking. Throw some other guys. Wiggins has been throwing well. Fouch looked awesome this weekend. Luckily, Arkansas's got guys in all these different roles. They can make it work however they want, really.
Yeah, I love the people that'll do that. Of just move this guy over and that's it. Like, I know he did it, and I'm not trying to compare any player on the current roster to him, but it's like, Kevin Kopps. Imagine just start him every time. Like, how about you just keep him in the role that he's really good at, and then build upon that. Like, that's the thing with pitchers. I'm like, if there's a guy who pitches better on Saturdays than on Fridays, like, as far as a starter goes, let him stay to Saturday. Like if he's doing something good, don't mess up his routine, don't mess up his mentality. Keep him where he's at if he's really good at it. And just do that instead of just, oh, this guy sucks, this guy's good, just put him over there and then therefore he'll be good. Like it's not so simple. But yeah, I mean, you got some dudes and losing the game in is that the second time in a row now Arkansas's lost on a walk-off in game 3 in Georgia?
Against Georgia. Yeah, and it was funny because it was Cole Gibbler who gave up the home run, which, by the way, Cole Gibbler, I thought gave a very good account of himself this weekend. This is his first time really pitching in high leverage situations. Came in Saturday, got a couple huge outs. I think he struck out the side and then pitched in that big game, ends up giving up the home run. Of course, that sucks, gets the loss. I think Cole Gibbler's a guy that they need to get going, especially with Coyle out. It's good to see him there, but 2 years ago, it was Fouch and Bybee who were thrown into this role, and Bybee and Fouch at that point in time were not ready for SEC action at all. I think Bybee gave up a grand slam to tie it and then a solo home run to lose it. And that was how Ben Bybee's last outing at Georgia went. So it was good to see him have an outing, but it's kind of a rite of passage. Arkansas has to give up a walk-off homer. Freshman pitcher has to give up a walk-off homer to finish the series against Georgia.
By the way, real quick, because I know we'll move on, but how do you feel about this, Andrew? Hold on. Daniel Shee says, this is incredible. Me and Andrew agree on Arkansas baseball. The world is just truly sideways.
Shout out to Daniel Shee. Brent Iredale goes 0 for 5 on Sunday, and he tried to do a victory lap on the Brent Iredale take. He was like, oh, you told me a few weeks ago Brent Iredale was good, and now 3 weeks later he had a bad game. I'm like, hey, buddy, let's wait a little bit before we do the victory lap on Brent Iredale, who also has been swinging it pretty well. I mean, hell, a lot of guys. I mean, Kahio Aloy also swung it well this weekend. Vahiva. I mean, it was good to see. Arkansas's got a nice little mixture of their hitters where they don't stay quiet for too long.
All right. So I know that people have also got into some back to the basketball transfer portal side of things, but saw some reports on social media, I guess, and Trey's asking, have we seen any pictures or reports that Ewan is on campus yet? Just curious.
Yeah, Ewan's here. He's been here. Hell, he's the one that told everybody he was going to Arkansas for a visit. I know that we might be a little snake bitten by the Pierre thing here, but that's a unique situation. Malik Ewan's on campus. He's here for his visit. No worries there.
I wonder how long are these visits? Do they have a set time? I know it's kind of just depending on it, but
you get 48 hours.
Okay.
You can take as much or as little of that as you want.
Wonder what they better give them the 5-star treatment, put them up in a nice hotel, making sure that they have a Waymo to take them around. They better make sure that they got all the bells and whistles.
You know exactly where they put them boys.
Yeah. Well, there's only a few selections that they could actually make it make sense. So yeah. Absolutely. But okay, we'll get to more of your chats, folks, and we'll also do a 1-mile question of the day. We'll do that for the last segment because I think it could be pretty fun to dive into. But Trenton wants to know, is that last episode of Razor's Edge worth the watch, or is it just going to make me sad? Trenton, I mean, the Razor's Edge episode, it didn't include the NCAA tournament, so I don't think it would make you sad. It was just, I think it included a little bit of the SEC tournament. Yeah, it was the SEC tournament part of it that they included, but I mean, I don't think so, but maybe I don't know what you get sad about, Trenton. So I'd still say give it a watch regardless. Hopefully they're back next season for season 2. I think that'd be good to see the differences and, kind of get the behind the scenes. I don't know if it'll happen, but
it'd be fun.
It'd be good to see. Also, it's my birthday in 7 months. You committing would have a nice birthday present.
It's Billy Richmond's birthday today. So
okay. I starred that. Is that true?
He, I mean, I don't know when the hell Billy Richmond's birthday is, but he posted on his IG story about blessed to see another 365 or something, whatever, kind of indicating that'd be the case. So
Billy Richmond shares a birthday with my beautiful mother. How about that?
It all makes sense now. It's all coming together. I will say, speaking of, what are y'all's thoughts on posting something on your own about your own birthday? I'm not talking about sharing some post or something that someone wished you happy birthday, but what are y'all's thoughts on posting that it's your birthday?
Yeah, y'all know I'm not a big look at me guys. I don't really do that.
I don't do it, but I also don't have an issue with the Billy Richmonds of the world. Billy being like, hey.
Yeah, that I don't. It's more of just the concept, hey, I just want to let everyone to know it's my birthday. In case you didn't know, it's my birthday today. as mad as that makes me, nothing pisses me off more than I think this is more recent when people start having birthday months. Nope. Stop that.
Mm-mm.
Stop the birthday month stuff. You like 2 different weekends, like, oh, it's a birthday weekend. And it's like, no, it's not. You can't have the whole month, and you can't have 2 weeks. You get a day, maybe a weekend, but that's it. Like, the people that just continue to go out there and have these birthday times is just weird.
A lot of folks I see nowadays doing the half birthday.
Stop.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Stop this. We have to put an end to this nonsense. I don't know how, but it's getting out of control. It's out of hand. That's all I'm going to say.
Do y'all like doing the thing where, like, if it's your birthday, you're like, oh, like, for instance, y'all are 36. It's y'all's Kiero's small year. You know, you like that? Not into that kind of stuff. I mean, Jordan.
No, I mean, I know I get what you're saying and things, but Kiero Small is like, but because that's literally the only other 36 I would even know. So yeah, I forgot about that.
I think Parker Coyle might be 36. Who else? What's another sports 36? There's not that many.
Yeah, pretty weird number. I mean, that's like saying when I turn 37, it will be my Trent Daniel year.
I was just about to say, like, you got a Trent Daniel coming up, a Jake Faraday coming up. It's pretty much all relief pitchers once you get into this range. You know, like early 40s.
Yeah, yeah. You start running out of times to.
Except when you get to 42, which, by the way, obviously Jackie Robinson tomorrow at Bomb is Jackie Robinson Day at the park. Everybody better be there, and it's $2 hot dog day.
Who they
you
play?
Can celebrate Jackie Robinson while also enjoying a $2 glizzy.
I knew that was going to happen. I was waiting, so I was like, it can't just be hot dogs. There has to be a mention of it, glizzy. Can't be just the dogs that are hot. So yeah, that is happening tomorrow. How many more non-conference games? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I hope they keep Ewan around long enough to take him out to the game. That's the only part about this. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen, other recruits have been out at, spring games and everything like that. And Arkansas just hasn't had a damn thing really going on campus here recently. Not that I'm advocating that they take the basketball portal guys to the spring game this weekend, but hey, I'm just throwing it out there. I might prefer baseball.
You don't think seeing Ishmael CC catch a few passes would get the guys going?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe.
Oh man. Hey, actually, too, before we move on to the next segment, did you guys know? And Andrew, you probably know this, and because my friends looked at me like I was an idiot because I didn't know this. When the 7th inning stretch happens at Baum and it's being sung, I did not realize the entire time that it was root for the Hog team.
That's a John Williams thing.
But apparently it's not new. Apparently it's been happening forever. And I just heard it the first time the other day, and I'm like, that's a thing.
I mean, they say it at Bomb. It's not a thing. Like, I don't think people should actually do that. I hate anytime, whether it's the anthem, whether it's the whatever. I think the Cubs did the Cubs used to do root for the Cubbies?
Yeah, well, because I found out that there's other MLB teams apparently that Cardinals do root for the Cardinals, and then Dodgers do Dodgers. Like, apparently it's a thing everywhere, but I was not aware. So just
Hog team.
Yeah, and that's
the thing.
That's my problem. And I'm like,
I'm not gonna say that.
If it's the Cardinals, Dodgers, it's like, but the Hog team, that's not even proper grammar.
I would almost rather you say the Hoggies, like the Hoggies, like I would almost rather you do that. The Hog team is tough, but no, they've been doing it for a while, but whatever.
Right. Oh, that was just my stupidity, I guess. I just didn't realize until the other day. I was like, Hog team. Like, we need to get away from this. Doesn't need to happen. We'll get to your chats and we'll all that, folks, to close up shop as we just have a few minutes, but wanted to also get to our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by Alumni Hall, which, by the way, will be there Friday at noon. Inside Arkansas Live will be live on Friday at noon, right there at their store at 3417 North College Avenue. You can shop them online at insidearkansas.com/Alumni Hall. They have all the great Razorback apparel you could possibly want. Getting you ready for that Woo Pig weekend. Going to be happening here this weekend with the spring game, or red white game, or whatever it's called, as well as Razorback baseball Thursday, Friday, Saturday with the Texas A&M series. So a lot of good stuff happening. That's why we're going to be at Alumni Hall. So come hang out with us at noon on Friday. It's Alumni Hall and InsideArkansas.com/Alumni Hall. Use that promo code HOGSBY20 for 20% off your purchase. So with the Rory thing happening, I was just curious to ask you guys in the chat. With the Rory thing happening, where he finally got the career Grand Slam, and it was also wild to see the stat that he had gone 11 years without a major, and that was the same length of time that Tiger Woods went. between his majors. And I was like, wow, okay, that's great. But it finally happened. Like celebrations and everything. So I'm curious, like you could use it any Razorback sport or just any sport in general, but like what was the most celebrated ending of a streak that you've ever had when it comes to your sports teams?
I mean, easily the 3-point streak coming to an end against South Carolina and a victory in a January SEC basketball game.
0 for 9.
Oh, that's not the obvious one. My bad.
You had to bring it up. Bad.
I mean, I think I'm really glad I was able to fit that in there. By the way, the Sweet 16 streak for me, just with the way it all went down. It kind of sucked because it was still like reduced attendance or whatever, but that allowed it to happen at Hinkle Fieldhouse, which was just sick. And was there in person, everything. That's the one that stands out the most to me, I think.
So, okay. I want to, this is an interesting thing because the way it's worded changes things. Because, okay, John's tweet says, what was the recent Razorback streak that finally came to end that you celebrated the most? And then here it says, what was your favorite streak? Those are different answers. And here's why. When Arkansas beat LSU in 2014 and it broke, I think it was 17 or 18, maybe 19 straight SEC losses. And they beat them 17-0. I celebrated that one more than I celebrated probably any game in my life because me and my buddies that night just got absolutely blitzed. We were like 16, 17 years old and, snuck out of the house, it was a whole shebang. My buddy had his first kiss that night. He had never spoken to a girl before. We were like 16 years old. He kissed a girl. I'll never forget that night because it was just like we partied it up, and I was with a bunch of LSU fans, and I was throwing it in their face the whole night. So I celebrated that one more than anything. I'll never forget that streak. But I agree with Curtis. My favorite is the Sweet 16 drought. Because again, I need y'all to help me. Did Arkansas go to the Sweet 16 in 88 or 98 or 99?
96 was the last time.
Okay. So I just want to make sure. I was born in 97. It was definitely the first Sweet 16 I remember, but it was the first Sweet 16 in my lifetime. That was a big deal because growing up, I had only heard legend of the Sweet 16. I didn't know it was a real thing you could go to that your team could play in. And so that was a big deal. And so now we become desensitized because we're just a Sweet 16 at minimum program. But that was my favorite. But I did celebrate the LSU 2014 win more than any.
Yeah. And to your point of like the graphic and everything. Yeah. Don't pay attention to the questions that's in the graphic, folks, because I just do it to whatever fits and looks aesthetically pleasing. But it's pretty much the same thing. But yeah, I mean, you guys mentioned most of them. In fact, not all of them. I will say though, again, it's not that big of a deal just looking in hindsight, but I felt really good once Arkansas finally freaking beat Texas A&M in Arlington back in 2021. Finally to do that after losing over 10 straight. It was nice to finally have that one come to an end. Just because it's, it was just that one. They didn't win another one. So that was one that also stood out to me too. But yeah, the Sweet 16 one to me is still the best one ever. And you know what's going to be sweet to feel the Omaha College World Series streak come to an end this year, because 2 years is just outrageous and it can't happen anymore.
That'll be nice. Crazy. Also, the winning the Natty will be a nice one. I thought that's where you were going with that. Also, I can't wait for Arkansas to one day beat Alabama. That'll be a fun one. Yeah,
they got to play Alabama first. It's like they're never going to do it, but it's probably going to happen in a time where Arkansas is just dog water too, and like Alabama's not good either, and they're going to win it in the most dumb way, and everyone's going to be like, yeah, it was ended the streak, but it doesn't really have the same luster to it. So, all right, let's get to your chats, folks, before we close up shop here. A few of them that we want to get into. Let's see. Adam says, Curtis, do you think Ewan commits today, or what is your honest feelings about how soon after his visit?
He could. I mean, his visit did just start today. My thought process on it is as long as it happens by the end of the day, Wednesday, then you're in a pretty good spot there, right? It doesn't have to be during the visit. It could be right after the visit. My line of thinking is if he gets to Mississippi State on Thursday, then I don't think it's happening. So that's where I'm at with you in there. And I do, as of now, I have no reason not to expect him to commit. But if he leaves campus and goes somewhere else, well, then I will.
I hope he doesn't today. Go to Mississippi State, dude. I mean, like, obviously, we've missed on, we've lost some battles here. cannot lose a big man to Mississippi State, although that is a pretty good place for a big man to go.
And I don't think I really don't think that Mississippi State's a huge threat for him. They just got a guy in the post, and they need more than one big, just like everybody else. They're trying to get their Keyshawn Murphy dude back or whatever. But I think it's more or less just, I get the sense that Arkansas would really like to wrap this thing up and be done with it. And remember earlier when I was saying Cal's not really the guy that likes to play a lot of games. And this strikes me as a, hey, you know what we have to offer? Let's get this done type of deal, not a go do the dog and pony show with a bunch of other visits and try to drive the price up or whatever. So I think if it's going to get done, it's going to get done here in the next couple of days.
Our guy Finch said, I'm ready for this weekend. Start off with seeing y'all at Alumni Hall Friday. Appreciate it. He says, before me and my buddy go to the Catfish Hole, along with softball and baseball games, will they bump up the time due to weather? The weather's supposed to be bad this weekend?
I have not looked at weather at all. I'm not a meteorologist or an archaeologist.
Dude, just once.
I'll take everyone's word for it.
Can we have a good weather weekend of Razorback events happening? Because it looks like on Saturday there's an 80% chance of rain and it's going to be a high of 64. So
the spring football game is cursed when it comes to weather.
Dude,
if it's really raining like that, y'all are gonna have to come drag me to that spring football game. I'm just saying.
we're dragging you, buddy. You're coming.
If it's in the indoor, I'm not going. I'll just tell you that right now. If it's in the indoor, I will not see it.
God,
I will not go.
Did y'all cover that when it was in the indoor?
It's been a couple times, but in 20, I guess it was 2023.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I covered it then.
Yeah. I wanted to say it was it was the one that was under Brett Bielema where it was even like the most miserable because they didn't allow us on the sidelines. We had to watch from like the workout facility that was in the windows above. And that was just.
Yeah, that was the Raleigh Williams one.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that goes way back then.
My sources are telling me we're going to be all right Saturday.
All right, good. I'm sure that I think Razorback baseball, softball, that makes precedence. You can watch or I guess you can't watch the spring game on TV because it's not on.
Yeah, at least the spring game has a backup option. Baseball does not have a backup option. Although hell, they need to go ahead and just start playing games in that indoor facility.
Might as well for how much money that cost. Finch also said, I think it's completely stupid how my wife and her sisters, who are all over 30, try to get literally everybody in the family to do a get together for each of their birthdays. I hate it.
I just wanted to out Finch to the public, to his wife and everybody.
I don't think that's completely stupid.
I went home. I went to Pineville this weekend to see my brother-in-law for his birthday, which was last Monday. And he literally said to me, he was like, this was basically just a reason for, my wife, my sister, his wife, and her friends to get together. And I was like, yeah, I figured that was the case, but I wanted to come here and eat crawfish either way.
Yeah, do that. I'm all for doing that. If it's a milestone, like a 30th or a 40th or, whatever birthday or something, cool. The every year, every one thing, I'm kind of with you on that standpoint of like, just a reason for everybody to get together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, this is what I was trying to pull up.
What's going on here? Is that me?
Is that John?
What in the world?
Oh man. It's good stuff.
Is that okay? Well, all right.
It's you. Like I confirmed.
No, I know it. I know it is, but it's like I think like part of even and my facial expressions, other than the beard and everything, like I don't know, it doesn't look like my eyes. I don't know.
You have anything to say or just
sometimes, I like to celebrate Halloween on different occasions, like it doesn't have to be the October 31st, I like to, puts the lotion on the skin and such.
I like that the beard's still there, you know?
Well, that is
I like that it came
feature.
From all hogged.
Yeah. It's just it's all perfect. This is what I strive to be and have in my career. I've made it. So.
Oh man.
Kind of a smoke or no?
No.
Okay.
There's a beard on them, like, and it's not. There's no smoke to it.
You got to clean that up. Yeah, you're shave away from being like need a couple beers, but you'd still be good.
A wood.
They all scare me out there, man.
about 2.5 Mickeys from a wood.
Like I'm trying because I haven't had really any like official fake accounts like parodying me. I've had some that try like. But you remember when we had like Black Neighbors was in the chat?
Black Neighbors was good.
Yeah. And now there's people that would be like non-jabers stuff. So I guess this is the latest.
Luggage.
Yeah, John's
Yeah.
luggage, all that. Everyone thought I was RMS or whatever in the Discord, or
Yeah.
So all right, well,
You can't
what
just
a
be you, you know?
yeah, can't. It's not enough. It's not enough just to be me. I gotta do more. Gotta do more. So, what a way to end it. Well, guys, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
No, not really. Wound up being a really good Monday show. I feel like
Yeah.
talked about a lot of stuff,
Yeah,
had some laughs, it's a good time, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, it'll be a fun show. It'll be a fun week. Eventually something will happen. Maybe next week, maybe next month, who knows? But we're just having a good time. And it'd be funny if someone could like do a compilation of like our opening to the show every day from like the start of portal season to now. It's just like getting like more and more. We're like, something will happen. I don't know. But no, had a good time. And tune into the Bombastic Podcast. We're crushing it.
Yep. And no matter what happens, even if it is next month, we're gonna have it right here at Inside Arkansas. So be sure to subscribe to all of us here in all of our content that we have at Inside Arkansas, not only on our YouTube page, but you can also subscribe to all of our audio version of our podcast, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, or the Bombastic Podcast, wherever podcasts are found. You could buy some of our merch, still available. If you go to InsideArkansas.com, you can click on the merch link there, or just InsideArkansas.myshopify.com. You can check out all the great stuff that we have. Now we have a special announcement on something cool coming up here soon. So we'll do that. And on social media at Inside Arkansas, we're all over the place. So just follow us, have fun with us, and subscribe to us. So for Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel, tomorrow at noon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you then.